right, yay, we're live. Welcome everybody. Happy equinox as we're moving more into the world after the equinox. Akasha here, Nanakasha from nanakasha.com, and thank you for joining me today on the Infinite Show. So today what I really felt inspired to do was to help everyone speak your truth, to actually go right into saying, okay, what is in my throat chakra, my throat center? You have a physical throat and a neck and all of the thyroid and everything in here. However, you have an energetic or spiritual anatomy that is many more times complex and powerful than what you have going on in your physical reality. Everything that's happening in your throat, if you have a sore throat, if you have swollen glands, if you have thyroid cancer, if you have nodes on your vocal cords, if you lose your voice, also up here, because this chakra comes all the way up here, and it connects with the third eye chakra. They blend, they cross into each other. So the ears and even the bottom of the eyes and this nose here are part of the throat chakra. So everything that happens in that area has to be connected to what's the energy in your throat center. It has to be. There's no way for it not to be. And if that's not functioning correctly, your throat center and the physicality of it, as well as everything else, isn't functioning correctly, isn't functioning at optimal. And what we want to do now is keep giving ourselves the opportunity to be functioning at optimal, to be in this very fast evolution, transformation, breakdown. Have you noticed you're in a breakdown, breakthrough, breakdown, breakthrough, breakdown, breakthrough? Wait, pause, sit, be laid up, and then go this, that. We're in a very fast moment in time. It's going to last a while, but it isn't going to last forever. And that is an opportunity. So one of the biggest opportunities we have right now is to flush out, to cleanse, I'm calling it excavate, emotional excavation of the heavy energies you're carrying in your throat or any other center. Anywhere you carry it in your body, your chakra, your energy center is a big sphere. It kind of comes out. It's got funnels and tubes holes or channels. I see it like a big train station, just things coming in and out all the time. It connects above the third eye crown complex to the heart. It's a bridge between the head or these higher chakras, which connect to your higher self, which connect to other worlds, to other realms, to angels, to your wisdom of your soul, all kinds of things. This is your command center. Once properly cleansed, activated, upgraded, rewired, then you have more clear inner vision. You start to see and remember who you are. You have a clear connection to your higher self in your soul star and your blueprint and your Akashic records and all of these other parts of you. So the chakras intersect with all of those bodies, emotional body, the mind, the mental body. The chakra is intersecting with it. So if the throat chakra represents communication, self-expression, creativity, higher truth, this is a communication center, and information and energy comes in and goes out and comes in and goes out. Well, that's what it's supposed to do. However, all of our energy centers, all of our emotional fields, all of our different parts of us have experienced trauma, drama, shock in this and other lives, other parts of your soul. And therefore, in this moment, the purpose of being here, to be honest, what I see in my sessions with my students, with my clients, I'm constantly seeing exactly what's going on in their energy field, where it's showing up, what kind of old patterns are coming up. And believe me, when I say it's been about letting go, finishing, completing relationships, thought processes, mindsets, jobs, maybe where you live, relationships. It's been time for a massive completion for a little while now. And now what I'm seeing is the deeper, stickier, darker, heavier, more thick emotional things, vibes that are down in these parts of us. So as you clear away, you get down to the bottom and you find the grimy stuff. And that means it's heavy with emotion. It's heavy with fear and low states of consciousness, shame, misery, humiliation, that level. There's victimhood, there's anger, there's fear, there's anxiety, there's depression, there's grief, there's regret. And the biggie, there's guilt, which is all about blame, which is what the whole world is been built on. And it's what we are breaking away from. If we keep judging and blaming ourselves, if we keep having fear of speaking up, being ourselves, discovering who we are, and then being it and speaking our truth, it doesn't mean you go around telling everybody what to do. It doesn't mean you go around telling everybody off. In fact, the more you develop your throat chakra and clear it from old patterns of what if I'm beheaded? What if I'm burned at the stake? What if I'm outcast? What if they don't like me? What if, because of all of the times that we've been beheaded, we've been strangled, we've been hung, we've been literally physically or emotionally or culturally or gender-wise, we've been repressed. You don't speak up. You should be seen, not heard. You should never speak above your station. You know, maybe most likely, there's lives, experiences within your soul when you were a servant or a slave. You might also have been the other way and used your voice for cruelty, for negativity, for greed. The fears and the vows and the deep emotional decisions that you make when trauma happens, it goes immediately into desperation, powerlessness, fear, and you drop out of the higher states of consciousness down into heavy states. And from there, you make a decision. So I'm going to give you a classic example of a throat chakra life experience, past life, vow. I see them energetically. I see these blocks, limiting beliefs. These are all the same thing, okay? So there's different ways of approaching it. Maybe you like the resonance of thinking of it as a belief, and a limiting belief that has some emotion from your emotional field and some mind, right? Where did it come from? Believe me when I say you do develop things in this life, but most of what you have, you brought with you by design from your soul. So you might say, hey, which parts of me want to come into this moment of fast evolution so we can get rid of all this shit in the throat chakra and start speaking our truth again? Well, guess what? This isn't just about speaking. This is about listening. So what's going on in here? Do you listen to yourself? Do you really listen to others, or are you busy thinking of what to say next because you want to be perfect, or you're afraid of what people will do, or they'll judge you, or you don't have self-confidence? That was a lot of my life. Are you truly able to listen past the manipulation, the control, the mindsets, the culture, the limiting beliefs, perceptions that you were given by your culture, by your upbringing, by your family, that you brought in from other lives? All these things combine together. So when you want to go after the blocks, they're energy. Some of them feel more powerful in your mind. Some of them are beliefs you just can't seem to get rid of. It's not safe to speak up. It's not safe to speak up. It's not safe. Well, maybe you came in with that belief for several reasons, and you were in grade school, and you were sitting at a desk, and you were enjoying yourself, and you were listening to the teacher, and you thought you knew the answer, and you enthusiastically raised your hand, and you told the answer, and she said no, and the other kids laughed, and maybe she was an asshole, like a lot of people are, and she was cruel and necessarily mean, and exaggerated it, like, what's wrong with you, or how stupid are you? And you decided, I'm never speaking up again. That was way too painful, right? I received punishment from society, from the teacher, and I received the message that don't be enthusiastic, try and learn and get it wrong and keep going. No, get it right or don't say anything. stand in the back, be the best, be perfect, or don't say anything. I was terrified to speak up. I never would have imagined that I would be a speaker because that's just laughable. I couldn't make it through speech class. I was very social, and I would get into my moods, and I would be very buoyant, and especially as a little child. But like all children, at some point, you learn it's not cute anymore, or don't talk about that, or be quiet, and you have no power. So did you hear no a lot? Were you not heard? Or were you able to say no? Or were you not allowed to say no in your upbringing, in a relationship? Now you have to look at the energy of it. We're not blaming anyone. We're going, oh, this is an interesting story. Let's look at our life and decipher it. Okay? And so you can see where issues in the throat chakra have been most of your life. If you're like me, you slowly became aware and you started searching and looking and doing different things, and pretty soon you may not feel like you're perfect, and you are perfect for where you are right now. However, we don't have to belittle ourselves or think less of ourselves because we have a desire or a longing to evolve to something better, more expertise, or a different state of our living. That's natural. A tree grows. It doesn't shame the rest of the tree. Oh, you're not good enough. I have to go do it again just to grow a new branch, right? So we use the word against ourselves, and we use the word against others. And when you gossip, when you complain, when you bicker, when you blame, especially yourself or others, there's a lot of damage there, and it is not a good energy for the throat. The throat is a bridge from your wisdom of your inner vision and your crown, which connects to your higher self and all the other realms. Then down here, it goes into your higher heart, or your ascended heart, and your heart. And so it's like that tree trunk between this tree that branches out. And as you evolve and as you let go of old limits and old fears of being yourself, speaking up, especially if you're a healer or a light worker, there were all these centuries of witch hunts. There were centuries of torture. There were centuries of blaming all women who spoke up or were wise. It's been about reclaiming the voice for women, for minorities, for children, for animals, for the earth. We're seeing a massive shift because we've been living within an experiment that has been allowing misuse of the power of the throat. And this is where I see a lot of blocks in my clients, is their fear of misusing power. Well, if I become more wealthy, or if I get what I want, or I speak up and I start to manifest my life, because this is really a powerful part of your manifesting powers. I speak, I command, I ask, I order. Those are things you do to yourself. You tell your mind, hey, over here, we're moving forward. We're looking for new opportunities. We're staying present in the moment. We're not thinking about what happened in the past and dragging it around anymore, right? You start to become that master at the center of your being, and your heart and your higher self can become a unit through this beautiful bridge of your communication center. Now, your throat isn't just talking, okay? It is sending out signals and sending out information, codes, light languages, whatever you want to call it, vibrations, frequencies, cell phone numbers, shows. Everything's a frequency. Your TV receives frequencies and then displays it as a show for you. It transforms it into something that you can visually, your senses can see and hear and make sense of. Phone numbers the same way. It just goes into the ethers. Well, this throat center is an ether center. That is the element that is predominant in this bridge. Well, that's kind of interesting. This is holding up. This is the bridge between our body, our heart right here, right? All of our body hangs from the shoulders, right? And the neck, and holds this head with the crown on it, you know, with your authority, with your own sovereignty, with your connection to your truth. So this has been poisoned, it's been shut down, it's been cut, it's been slit. So a common story, and you can extrapolate, because I've seen so many similar stories over 35 or so years of doing deep inner work, shaman work, energy medicine work, all forms of healing work, everything you can think of, because I keep wanting to know what's underneath that. What's underneath that? Well, what caused that? Or where did that come from? Could we go to the root? Is there a faster way to do this? Is there an easier way to do this? Is there a way to do this and have fun? So what we want to do is speak your truth. Now, in the past, we've seen people speak their truth and maybe not do such a good job at it. And when you first start to speak up for yourself, if you've done this, you don't do it very elegantly, do you? I didn't. You have an opportunity to speak up. So whereas in some areas of my life, I was very outgoing, I'm also a hermit. I'm also like my internal time and my creative time. And my mom called me that I had butterfly ways. I would be dancing and talking to the fairies everywhere we went. My sister was embarrassed. I was always talking to invisible friends, quote unquote. You know, we all understand what that is now. And that was my nature. And so my nature made me look like I was this extrovert, yet I was terrified to be disliked, to be yelled at, to be, my sister was extremely cruel. One day, a friend of mine said, "You're like Cinderella." And the more I thought about it, I thought, gosh, that's kind of true. So that's the scenario I picked to have the best possibility for growth through the patterns that I brought into this life, right? And so I was afraid of being not good enough. So I was constantly striving to be good enough. And I was afraid to ask. I was afraid to ask for anything. And when you have enough experiences, right, like no, or whatever, and then those develop into different patterns as you age, as you evolve, as you go through your life and you have different experiences. They maybe become dormant. You don't notice them. Maybe you grow up and you get more confident. I had several different people that I knew that I was very impressed with their ease and grace in public or with people and their ability to be like, "Hi, how are you?" "Oh, I'm great. How are you?" And so I started to model them. I started to say, what would that be like to just walk in a store and be able to say, because normally I'm like, I wouldn't ask where the toilet was. I'd walk around for an hour or more. So I was not able to use this beautiful bridge of the throat for many different reasons. It took me 2-3 times to get through speech class in school. And and when I started to teach meditation, which was the big, I started speaking in real estate investing. And I did meditation classes in my home. And I would turn red. I would get blotches on my chest. I would spit up. But the soul calling for that pushed me through it. It made me rise up and out of that and into a desire to use my throat, which pushed past the fears. And so I had to go through a long, awkward phase and then other phases along the way. Then I started to do more stage speaking. And I've had many podcasts, radio shows on radio stations, an internet TV show at one point. And so all of these things have given me an opportunity to face my fears of using my voice. And when we look deep inside there, we see common stories. So I'm going to give you a couple of stories. That's the fun part, right? Is to hear these stories and then see what triggers for you. So one of the reasons I was inspired to do this was this week in the Chakra upgrade class, which you can still join because it's all there. You can buy it anytime you want because it's phenomenal. It is truly phenomenal. The feedback from the people in it is so much fun. And yesterday we did the throat chakra. And so it was so much fun. We started out, we were talking about these fears that are in there, and people were sharing, oh, I have a very visceral past life memory of being burned at the stake. Oh, I have a very visceral memory of different, it's usually a form of punishment, pain, death, or loss. And so these stories, I wasn't raised to believe in reincarnation. And when I first learned about it, I thought, that's too good to be true. I doubted it. I read about it for a long time. I studied a lot of different religions and philosophies and traditions. And studied science and sacred geometry and mystery schools and on and on. I just kept going as deep as I could. And when I started having my own experiences, and then I had people have experiences where they're like, I don't believe in a past life, but I just experienced one and it was super powerful and I can't deny the reality of it. And it profoundly changed my life. So that happens in almost all my sessions now, regardless of the session. Another life may come to speak to you. And these are very powerful because the story, the feeling, the sensation is just instant. You get it. You don't have to talk for 20 minutes or write for 30 minutes to get to the point of what it feels like. So a common one, so these I call these contracts. So you could make a soul contract when in a particular life, you make an agreement to someone else or to yourself that you will never speak of something again. I see this a lot in my clients, a lot. So they have some secret knowledge. They have some wisdom of somebody else or of some kind of knowledge or wisdom that they had, that they knew together. Recently, I saw one where her husband was her brother in another life. And in that life, they had an agreement, a pact after their parents were killed, that they would never, ever, ever tell anyone of the family secrets, powers, wisdom, knowledge type of thing. And it was such a powerful agreement, such a powerful contract, that there were parts in her throat center that were buried so deep that could not express themselves because of this agreement with somebody that she deeply loved and honored and wanted to honor. When you make a vow to meet again, to love again, to never speak up again because terrible things happen, to never have money again because it makes you a target, people take it or you lose it or something happens, to never love again, to never trust someone again, to feel betrayed, to have your heart broken. Those are some of the stories that unfold, and they're usually in other times, and they're often involved with medieval times. We've been releasing that for decades and decades now. The goo, the heaviness, the horrors of what we've done to each other through the Dark Ages and before and since, but that was like the real pit of it. And so releasing your slavery bonds and being able to speak up, being able to be heard, being able to be valued for what you say. So if you were a slave and you, especially if you were one that worked and had this metal cuff around your neck or some other form of yoke or chains, we see the imprint of that energy on people, and that'll show up in the throat. If you've been beheaded, if you had your throat slit, if you were hung, if you were gagged, if you were strangled, these things happen, and pretty commonly in the past, especially if you had no power to speak up. Well, if you were gagged or something, you can't speak up, you can't call for help, you can't yell. So it's a way of death, it's a way of punishment, it's a way of whatever the story was carrying out. But it's a very specific way that then you carry on into your life with this fear of speaking up. Or I used to, when I would get sick, the first thing that would happen is my throat would start to get sore. I always started everything that way. Now I don't get sick anymore because I realize that's a belief. But the idea of the throat being a channel or a bridge, and if it's closed down, when you have self-esteem issues, you perceive that you are the good person, you're the nice person, you're the better person, because you don't speak up, that you don't make demands, you're not aggressive. People who are very outspoken and aggressive, an example would be a New Yorker. Not necessarily bad, okay? Just that's their nature. Scared the crap out of me most of my life. And my sister's a Leo, and she was really powerful with her voice and very, very cruel. So I was terrified of people like that. I was terrified of people who were very direct and that looked you straight in the eye or asked you very direct questions. I was terrified I didn't know the answers. I wasn't right. I would be criticized or not liked because I got it wrong. So when you have a vow, or more than one usually, by the way, I see these, that has to do with this, I'm not speaking up again. There's a lot of lives where you spoke up and bad things happened. So let's go through a few scenarios to see if you triggers anything, okay? We call this excavating. As I'm talking, these energies are going into your mind, your memory. They're tweaking your emotions. They're poking your field, your throat. And your thoughts are coming up. Feelings are coming up for you. You're experiencing like you're sort of digging around in here to see what's here. A lot of, like I said, slavery and servant stories come into, or you don't have to be, you could just have been a wife or a daughter that was controlled, by a domineering father or husband, or vice versa, I suppose. And you could have been, I've seen many things where there was a lot of wealth, and if you behaved the way that they wanted you to, and you agreed to be the person that they want you to, which means don't speak up, don't have an opinion, go along with marrying who we tell you to or whatever, and you'll have a lovely life. It'll be fine. And so there's been a lot of those kind of lives where people have to choose between wealth, comfort, acceptance, perceived love, and freedom, expression. Okay, your throat is the center of your higher truth. That means it connects you directly, and it's connecting. It's like a command center. It's communication hub is better. It's constantly listening and bringing in and sending out information, searching, researching, as well as channeling the energy from the heart, which is your truth, your soul's deeper purpose and brain, and your higher self, your vision, your abilities in your higher self, and beyond. So when you have a fear here that comes from, if I speak up, I'm going to lose my comfort, my acceptance, my status, you might see a smaller version of that now. Maybe you're afraid to ask for a raise at work because they might fire you, or they'll think you're greedy, or what if they say no and you're embarrassed, or what if you're not comfortable with your job, but you make good money and it's okay, but you're feeling like you need more expansiveness. This was a client recently. And so what is in there that's holding you back? There's also a lot of lives that we've experienced with loss, deep loss, loss of love, loss of trust, being betrayed. So lots of different times there's been the idea of turning someone in. The Nazis wanted you to turn in the Jews. The Catholics, the Spanish Inquisition and all of that, witch hunters, they wanted you to turn in women that helped you, usually who healed you, who understand teas and herbs or something, and they healed you, and then, so it just pointed. And it was usually people you knew in your family or your town, and there was a great betrayal factor. So in our class, one lady said, I can remember very viscerally the experience of being burned at the stake. Yet I don't have a lot of fear or emotion or attachment to that pain or the experience of being burned at the stake. What stayed with me, which is what I call the agreement or the contract, the decision that is made in that moment, was the betrayal of the other women who pointed the finger at her. Friends, women who were the same, all of them knew. So you see what happens when a threat comes in and people say, you are going to be in trouble, or unless you tell us someone else, give us someone else as the patsy, give us someone else to blame, give us someone else to kill or torture or imprison. And that's the blame game on steroids. All right. And it's especially when it's a hunt, we use that term witch hunt now to just say when somebody is unfairly pursued under terms that can't ever work in their favor. Most of the tests they gave to determine if you were a witch killed you if you weren't a witch. So you would be dead, but they go, well, she wasn't a witch. Isn't that great? And if you lived, they'd kill you anyway. So it was basically a death sentence. You weren't coming back out of that. Let's put it that way. And so the betrayal is a big one. That is loss of trust, right? That is a shock. That is an emotional heartbreak, depending on who or what it was. I have a past life where my dad, my sister, and my mother in this life, we were all together in that life. My dad was our dad, and we were three, my mom, my sister, and I were sisters. He was I don't know if he was a priest or a pastor. I feel more like pastory. He was a church person, and we were raised and we were named something like charity, love, and hope, something like that. And I had an affinity for herbs, and I could heal them. And he would get a spider bite, and I would run and get aloe vera or an herb or something and come and heal it. And this happened in this life is what triggered me knowing about it. My dad was at my house in New Mexico. We had some acreage, and a big section was filled with tumbleweeds. So we were all going down there doing the not very pleasant work of pulling up tumbleweeds. And a spider came out and ran up my dad's pant leg and bit him. And when he got to the house, it was big and red, and it was growing, and it was pretty bad and dangerous. And my mother is a nurse, or was a nurse, and so she was doing what she knew to do. And I immediately looked at it. I walked outside. I broke off a piece of aloe vera. I came back and I broke it open and I rubbed it on it. And they both just stared at me. And my dad said, you could tell without even thinking, boom, that other life came through. And he said, what are you, a witch? And it was the way he said it and looked at me that was so chilling. It was like, what are you, a witch? And I was in that other life. There he was looking at me. And it turns out in the end, he caused my death by burning, because he was basically the one that turned me in or pursued me. And he was my own father. So these things, you could imagine the fear you would carry after that of a broken trust of a father, a broken trust with the divine or with the idea of church or whatever that meant to me in that life, with a break in is it safe to help people? Is it safe to use the tools that you have? Is it safe to be psychic? Is it safe to be connected? Is it safe to be happy? Is it safe to be outgoing? Is it safe not to be caught up in the rat race and worry what other people think? Is it safe to be not running after glory and fame and fortune and every other thing and I just feel constantly unfulfilled? Yes, it is now. It is becoming that way. And these are the kinds of things that are coming up for us to release. A very common one is using your voice to inspire, persuade, or rally people or a person to do something. And the consequence is very disturbing. So a very common one that I've seen many, many times in different details, but in many, many different people, is sort of olden times, medieval times, and the town is being persecuted by a very greedy and cruel landlord or something. And this person decided to go tell people, come on, we have to speak up. We have to go out. We have to get together. We have to come together. We have to fight that. The landlord, it's not fair. He's taking everything from us and da-da-da-da. We have to stand up for ourselves. The classic, let's protest, let's say no, let's resist, let's speak up for ourselves, persecuted, perceived powerless, and power. And usually what I see is that you rally everybody, they grab their rakes and shovels and they storm the evil people, and you die looking out over the battlefield. And everybody that you love, everybody that you knew, everybody you convinced this is the right thing to do is dead or dying. And as you're dying, you decide, oh my God, look what I did. I am the worst person. I killed everyone. I thought I was doing the right thing, and I used my voice. I used my power of inspiration, persuasion. Persuasion not being bad, persuasion being showing somebody a perspective that if they resonate with it, then they're like, oh, wow, thank you for showing me that. I didn't know that. I didn't understand that. So it's an education. It's misused, but that's what it's supposed to be. And deciding in that moment, I am never speaking up again. And that vow going deep into your soul, and you carried it into your life now. So if you struggle like I have to open your voice, to ask where the toilet is, to ask for money, to speak your mind, all the way down to, and I have a very beautiful relationship with my family right now. However, at one point, I decided to start to speak up, and it didn't go very well, and I got disowned, and it was quite dramatic. And so when you open up your throat, when you start to use your voice, you may get the results you want and you may not. That doesn't mean you weren't supposed to do it. You maybe could have waited for a better time. I used to start to speak up and I'd get emotional and I'd start crying or quivering or, this kind of thing. And I didn't want to be seen as weak. And so then I'd be mad at myself. And I went through these phases to get to where I can speak and I can find a way to speak to people because I can see their energy and I can understand what they would relate to. But that's a development of my throat chakra over a lot of time and a lot of cleansing and clearing of these old patterns and lives. So other ways of contracts, vows, agreements. So that's the decision you make. You're dying. You see that you believe you've caused this. You're horrified by it. You feel guilty by it. And you embed that guilt and you embed that shame and you embed that humiliation and you make that agreement with yourself at a vow level. Don't ever speak up again. Then that gets stronger as other lives happen that have similar patterns and they kind of get together and form a tumor, so to speak. So when you clear your throat chakra, you're going to bring up a lot of this emotion. You're going to maybe have memories of other lives or just feelings of fear or feelings of anxiety or feelings of being watched or feelings of it not being safe. Here's another example of how your throat chakra can show you it's blocked. I write a lot and I like to write physically. I write a lot on the computer naturally because I have to. However, I like writing in my notebook. I like jotting things down. And when I do a session, I automatic write. I write things they're saying. I write exact words. This is something I've learned through my homeopathy doctorate, through my hypnosis mastery. You learn to listen. You learn to listen between the words, and then you write down exact words people say. And then my energy work, it lets me see. So this means that my throat chakra is receiving a lot of information that has nothing to do with someone's voice. Yes, I'm hearing some words and I'm writing some of them down. But then I'm getting perceptions, I'm getting ideas. I start to see, I start to get a perception or a sense of what's happening in their energy field, the most important parts in that moment. So when I do a chakra scan, we may only have 2 or 3 chakras that come forward and say, hey, this is what's going on. It's a big deal. Those are on sale right now in the shop, and or chakra alignment and cleanse and healing. The other option is if you go into a particular chakra for a reason. So remember, if you're having a physical problem somewhere, like in the throat, address the physical body. Talk to your body intelligence and talk to your chakra. Look in there, cleanse it, use the violet flame. There's a violet flame cleanse on the shop. It doesn't cost much at all. There's all kinds of different ways. Learn to do infinity weaving. In the chakra class, we're learning all different kinds of processes we can to remove energies and infuse energies and weave energies and balance energies and reconnect energies and massage the chakras. All these things are included in the chakra class. And so the throat chakra, you can hear, you can see, I'm getting, this is yesterday during the throat chakra. We're talking about it. People are sharing these lives and these things they've had. We're going through learning about it. And I start getting this sore throat, this hoarse throat. I start getting stuff coming up. So it knows we're talking about it. We're talking about you. So when you want to find the blocks in your throat chakra, it isn't real hard. Look, where do I feel uncomfortable speaking up? Do I feel heard or seen? Do I feel like valued? What I say is respected and valued. And then, of course, you have to look first. Do I value myself? Do I listen to myself? Am I hearing myself? Am I embarrassed of myself? Or do I fully accept myself? Do I allow myself to speak up to me? Or are there parts of me that have been locked away that still haven't been heard? Like parts of our inner child, big throat chakra stuff, shutdowns as a child, right? I'm having so much fun. Be quiet. Keep it down. Oh, I'm talking to my fairies. That's stupid. That's silly. Grow up, right? Oh, look what I did. Well, that isn't good enough. Do more. Okay. Keep the energy moving. See if you can feel energy moving in it. It's like a bridge of light. And when you have, hang on. Having my cacao for my heart and having a little cacao ceremony here. Rejuvenate my throat a little bit. Look at where you have felt that you couldn't speak up or you couldn't say no. Look at where you have felt you were valued, your word was valued. One of the wonderful things that happened last year was one of my clients, we've been working regularly. We worked on some old emotional stuff and some past lives and the big blocks of I should be this and I'm not perfect and I have to overwork and I have to do everything for everybody else. And as we worked through all of that, her voice started to bloom. But first she's like, oh no, I want to be in the background just helping. I'm just helping and I'm just doing things and I'm great at that. I'm super reliable and I've got it. And I'm the only one that's reliable, but I don't want to step forward into my power. I don't want to be that front person to where that's exactly what she's designed for. And so it wasn't initially like, let's look at your throat chakra. It was excavating the emotions, excavating the immediate issues and challenges in life, in the mind, in the emotional field, in the exhaustion. And then as those lift, and as you see and find these limiting patterns, the voice is freed and you're able to step forward and not just raises and promotions and then a completely new company and then expansion of that company and being accelerated actually to the forefront. And then a little ping again after 6-8 months of just, wow, this is great. Upward movement, outward movement. I just kind of want to do my work by myself. I don't want to have to be the front person. I don't want to have to talk to everybody every day, right? That means that you've hit a deeper, lower pattern in the throat center. Don't be like, oh, I thought I cleared that. Why isn't it all perfect? Don't be ridiculous, okay? We've got these ridiculous concepts. Well, I learned that once and I read a book, so I should know that and I should be able to treat myself and I should be done with this. You should nothing. Okay, Mr. Should needs to move out and transform, get a little therapy, be relieved of the duties of shoulding you. And so where do you use your voice against yourself? Look at that. Do some free flow writing. Ask these different questions and let it speak. Okay, so let's see. Hi, Pat. Abundant blessings. Creativity and expression. Yes. Hi, Gina. Hi, Sandra. Try to get out of the judgment mind frame and having the intention of curiosity with myself. That's a great way to do it. Hi, Herb. Hi, Tracy. How you doing? Woo. Yeah, Pat, that's what we want to do is accept. So if you are stuck in judgment, because look, it's coming up on the planet big time, right? We're blaming this person and that person and this government and that government and this shutdown and this control. And it's just an explosion of a hot mess, ridiculousness. So, and it's happening everywhere. So we got to go, okay, I'm not going to stand and try to find out who's right and wrong, because how do you know? You don't know. You can't know. You only know your own truth. You only know what is optimal for you. And when you get this connection and clear the throat, you can start receiving better guidance. You can know that you have your own inner authority. You can move forward. And we have to stop judging ourselves. It doesn't mean you won't try to achieve. It doesn't mean you'll lay on the couch and eat Cheetos all day, or maybe you do it for a day and then say, okay, that's good, now get up. But when you release that, you go, oh, I'm the prize horse and I'm treating myself like shit. I'm feeding myself shit. I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm not loving myself. I'm not accepting who I am. I'm always thinking I'm not good enough. I'm not speaking up. I'm not being authentic with myself. So the first thing to do is to see, am I speaking up to myself? Am I being authentic and honest and truthful? Because this is about truth, okay? And then, how are you using your voice against yourself by judging yourself, your actions, your past, your money, your butt, your husband, your status, your job? I don't know, whatever it is. Just let it go. It is what it is. I accept it in this moment, and as I accept it, I rise out. I literally transcend all the heaviness, the shame, the guilt, the fear, the anger, and I easily rise up. Become harmonious with compassion, solutions, and I forgive, I let go. My emotional body begins to lose weight. And so the idea that you don't have to, because it doesn't mean that you don't want anything. It means, oh, okay, this is what is. Instead of like ignoring part of you or suppressing part of you or being embarrassed of part of you or whatever it is you're carrying around, if you speak your truth and your throat chakra is, I speak, that is its energy, its perspective, I speak. But speaking doesn't necessarily mean out loud. And it means I listen. I listen. The biggest thing that I noticed I did when I started learning all kinds of energy, spirituality, manifestation, meditation, you name it, was I was doing, and thinking, and planning, and looking, and judging. Did it happen? Why hasn't it happened? When's it going to happen? Am I good enough? Did I do it right? Maybe I have to write it 10,000 more times. And that's way back in the day. That's how we begin to understand this. Energies are much faster now. Yay. And so when you go in, you can simply be with what is. There isn't any need to fix it. You're not trying to only find the problem. You're simply trying to accept what's there and see it. When you accept it, you transcend it. You freed from it. It's not grabbing your mind and making you think. It's not grabbing your throat and making you hold back. It's just, oh, okay, da-da, da-da, da-da. Okay, you're in the flow. Accept, and then all options begin to open. So if you accept yourself, you accept what's happening in the world. I mean, you can argue with it. You can get upset about it. You can listen to people trying to dramatize it and make you feel even worse about it. Or you can listen within. So doing means you're not listening. And that was one of the biggest issues I had, was I was trying so hard, but I wasn't in a receptive mode. I wasn't meditating or being where I was just a receiver. I was just listening and being a receiver. And the throat needs this. The throat is a receiver. And it's a projector. Okay, it's a distributor, it's a communicator, and your creativity is going to flow, and your ability to connect to your higher truth and to other higher truths and to communicate with multiple dimensions and ideas and places, then you'll be in what we call the flow. Okay, all right, let me share a couple things with you here. Here, I think this is it. Not sure if there's anything here that we really need to review, but these are a few things I put out in the email that Donna was kind enough to share on the slides. So that's what we're doing today, is talking about speaking your truth. Excuse me. Woohoo! That's part of the throat chakra too, sneezing. Wow, I'm getting tingles. So free your throat chakra. So I would like you to either write down or to close your eyes and listen to the questions, and then allow the answers to rise up within you. So for starters, go ahead and just close your eyes and take a slow, deep breath in. Take that breath in and let it go down into the throat, and see and feel the throat as the breath moves through it into the chest, expanding the heart. And say, I'm here to speak my truth and free my throat chakra. And let that breath go very gently and feel as if it is just oozing out of the throat center. And now take another slow, deep breath in, bring it up the nose, right up into that third eye crown, and then feel it going down through the throat and into the heart, expanding your connection and the light. I speak my truth. Good. Now one more breath, very slow up the nose. Really feel it going into the third eye and the crown, scooping up information from your highest self, pouring through the throat, delivering that information, the light growing brighter, and releasing into the chest, and let it go. Now say within your heart, out loud if you can, but feel the voice speaking even silently in the throat. I am that I am, and I am ready and willing to release all that has held my voice, my truth, my creativity, and my full expression back from my throat chakra. I'm open and receptive to the truth of my soul and my purpose to flow through my heart, flow through my inner eye, and meet in my throat. Give it permission now, open and receptive to receive these energies and expand. I'm ready to speak my truth and I want to know. Now ask yourself, am I ready to express myself authentically? See what the answer is that comes up. What are the resistances or fears or doubts or thoughts that come up? The time has to come for me to discover my truth and to speak it. I'm ready to speak authentically, express and manifest aligned with my highest good. Just stay with that a moment and see what it triggers, what it highlights, what it feels like. I'm ready to reveal the blocks I carry in my throat center and resolve the key challenges in my life, mind, emotion, body, all the way through my entire being. I ask and give permission to any blocks of feeling unheard, unvalued, ignored, not good enough, criticized, to rise into this light in my throat and be absorbed. I give permission to my other lives and my vows and my contracts and my fears of expressing myself authentically, powerfully, inspirationally, to heal, to help, to inspire, to rally, to bring goodness, love into the world. I release the torture, the loss, the pain, the fear into this light. Up comes the victimhood, the shackles, and the fear. Up comes the betrayal, the loss, the shock, the sadness. Up comes the lack of trust. Up comes the loss. Up comes, don't you dare speak, be seen and not heard. You aren't worthy, you aren't important. The bridge is clearing and expanding from mind to body, from spirit to heart. The light is growing brighter in your throat. Disconnected over centuries of repression, you feel the angst, the torture, all of it breaking free, opening up, coming into the light. I reconnect the bridge. I express my true nature and purpose. I release the centuries of disempowerment, dismemberment. I allow free expression to flow. I reconnect and thrive. I release with gratitude, and I reconnect and thrive. I release with gratitude, and I reconnect and thrive. Now relax and allow all of these energies, all of these commands that you've gifted and given yourself. And call in the turquoise stone and all of the blue crystals, the blue ray, to come in to help cleanse and clear your throat chakra. These sacred sounds are the vibration of functional alignment, clarity, and full potential for your throat center. Let them vibrate, release, and realign so you may speak your truth within and without. Hum, hum, hum. Hum, hum, hum. Hum. I, 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 I am aligned and connected to the highest powerful frequency of my divine throat blueprint. I ask for this cleansing, clearing, and realignment to continue as long as is optimal to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now say, I speak, I listen, I am, I am the bridge of love and wisdom, and I manifest with this light and this power. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Relax and allow this to integrate. All right. Well, that was beautiful. I hope you redo that. And I want to just share quickly in shop.nanakasha.com, we have the chakra scans and readings on sale right now. And we also have the chakra attuning and alignment. So they are very powerful. They're recorded for you. They're done live and private. And who knows what we'll find. We're going to look into the ones that are key for you right now, that are speaking to you, that are blocked or blossoming, what powers they have, what they're connected to, how to proceed. We also have coming on sale is 2 private packages where we do sacred chakra work. If you're interested in going deeper in that, one is the root, sacral, solar, heart, and a soul reading, and the other one is higher heart, throat, third eye, crown, and a soul reading. So let us know if there's any other way that we can be of service. I'm so pleased that I get to use my voice and I get to share it with you. And I was thinking while I was toning there for you about the fact that I don't have a good voice. I'm not a singer. And it's very much the opportunity of releasing the fear, because the vibration, what I teach, has such powerful impact on the people who are drawn to it, who are called to it. And so why would I limit myself based on judging whether or not I have the perfect toning voice like Deva Premal, or to limit what I know to help heal you? All right, everyone, have a beautiful and blessed day, and I will see you soon. Namaste. Thank you, Pat. I'm so glad you love the sound healing. It does help clear the sludge. And if you do it yourself, you speak yourself, you really will see and feel the power. I chant all the time. Thanks, everybody. Send her up.